Welcome back, 116 The Frequency. Kenny, Jack, and we have a special guest tonight.
We have Butler Township Police Chief William Feissner joining us this evening. We want to kind of talk to you and get your history, and I know you got a lot to say, so we'll dive into it.
Sounds good. We do have a lot of things going on, and
I know you two know each other better than you and I know each other.
Correct, yes.
Which
going back
not for
years.
bad reasons.
No, but going back years, I remember, and obviously we want your history, we want you to talk to us, but I remember before I moved, well, now it's 32 years ago, almost 33 years ago. Bill, you were running a Freeland ambulance, correct?
Yep.
And you were a Freeland police officer at the time. Or was it Foster Township?
Weatherly.
No, Weatherly.
But I
Weatherly.
belong to the Fear Knots, and I still belong to the Fear Knots.
You were a firefighter at Fear Knots, Freeland ambulance, and Weatherly police.
Yep.
And now I moved back, and you are still active, still in the
here.
area, and it was great to see. It's been
Yeah.
fantastic. And obviously with Butler Township, we're glad to have you.
Yep.
That is fantastic.
So more gray hair, less gray hair, same amount.
More gray hair.
More gray hair, okay.
More gray hair.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Same Billy. So, Billy, give us your background. Start.
Sure.
We know law enforcement, fire, EMS. Give us your background.
So, at 16, I joined the Fear Knots. And in the process of doing that, a place my mom went to get her hair cut, I also went to, and ran into Mary Beth Gallagher.
NB.
And she said, you should join the ambulance. So I did. So then I got involved in the ambulance, went to EMT school, did all of that. Believe it or not, I feel young. I was actually old enough that I went to MMI, and I used to leave for calls.
Wow.
Because they were short of volunteers.
Yes. What year did you go through EMT? Do you remember?
80. So I joined in 16. I want to say 87.
Okay.
So I went through with Ronnie Feissner.
Okay, I was the class after you.
Oh, okay.
I was the class after you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's when they were doing 2 a year.
And Scott.
The hospital, Scotty.
Scotty
yes.
and I went in the same class, yep.
Yep. That's
So we went to that?
the EMT class at the hospital.
Oh, okay.
You had Wayne, Kasich,
Yeah.
Michelle, God, who else was in there? I remember MB up there.
Yeah.
It's so many good instructors. But we were pumping out 2 EMT classes a year
Okay.
at that time.
Yeah. So I was able to go on calls, fire calls.
Right.
The ambulance would come by, pick me up. I was picked up by the police, the fire. I mean, it was pretty neat to be in high school and just...
Yeah.
And I didn't have a pager because you're still kind of new, so they don't know you. They didn't give you the pagers. It was the old square Motorola's.
Yeah.
So I had to carry a scanner, a crystal
Wow.
scanner in my suit pocket and listen for all the calls.
I bet that was a chick digger, huh?
Not really. Not like you would think it would be. But it gave me a lot of good experiences. And so then I kept doing that. And, you know, you're kind of looking for a career. What do you want to do? So you kind of got to go to college. But I guess, I'm not exactly sure. It was either my junior into my senior year, I think junior into senior year in the summer, at Heller's Curve right there by MMI, that real sharp curve
Yes.
there, I was hit by a drunk driver.
Oh.
Now, I wasn't hurt. The car was kind of totaled. She didn't have a license, and she just kind of went straight and just kind of like T-boned me.
Wow.
So with her being DUI, we got to be friends with the trooper, went kind of through the court process, things like that. Comes graduation time, got to go to a college. So I took Penn State Hazleton. Well, what do you want to do? I didn't know. And I ended up taking like a semester of business. And wasn't happy because that just wasn't my thing. Still had the adrenaline rush, lights and sirens, all of that. So I said to my dad, well, I want to be a paramedic. And his response was, because remember, I'm still influenced now by like Emergency 51 and that early on stuff.
Look, I'm just going to say, not to cut you off,
No, go ahead.
Gage and DeSoto made it look way cooler.
Yes.
So,
So his response was, when did you ever see an old paramedic?
good point.
And there really weren't any then. They were all young. It was Joe Whiteock, Danny Ryman. It was the Williamsport graduates,
Medic
things
Walker,
like that.
yes.
Yes. So I kind of got derailed from that. So, hey, let's try this police thing. So I entered the police academy, went through that, and it was something I really enjoyed, excelled with. Went through, graduated, then ended up getting a job in Weatherly.
Okay.
So that's how I
What
went
year
to
was
Weatherly. I started in Weatherly in 1990.
Okay. 1990.
And it was different back then. It was hard to get a job.
Oh.
You really had to dig in. And Weatherly, as much as Weatherly's Weatherly, back then, it gave me the opportunity because every crime was the most major, worst crime you ever investigated. Even if it was a criminal mischief, if it was a burglary, like it was a small town, it wasn't real busy, it was tight knit, and it was one of these jobs that was like 32 hours a week, so it was just full time but a little less. And I worked there and left early January, kind of January of 1994 when I got a job here.
Okay.
And I still wasn't accepted because I was still an outsider. I mean, not by everybody, but there were certain people like, well, you're not from here. So it was kind of neat to work at that. But I wanted a busier department, a bigger department, and Butler was the fastest growing at the time. So that's when I got here and really had the opportunity for training, for knowledge enhancement. There's a lot of things people that don't know, A, how busy we are, and B, in a small department.
Why don't you bring that up? So I know you read these at the Township meetings, and until I got the role as president here, I didn't go to Township meetings. I didn't view them as something important to go to, but now seeing the kind of stuff that gets brought up at those meetings, I encourage everybody to go to those meetings.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't make everyone, that's okay, but you really should make an attempt as a resident of Butler Township to attend these meetings.
Right.
A lot of big changes can happen. Everybody focuses on the federal stuff. Big change happens that can really directly affect the way we live here.
Yes.
It's important for people to go.
And we need, the police really need everybody's support because we are really undermanned and understaffed.
Yeah.
And we need the public support. I go to every meeting. You hear my reports. You hear how busy we are. You hear the percentage of how much our guys work alone.
How many calls did you run in the year 2025? Do you know off the top of your head?
We do an average of about 350. But I'm still getting my 25 report together. A month, 350 a month. Between 325, 350, somewhere in around there. Still working on numbers for 25. I want to say it's up near maybe around 4,000 calls.
Okay, so you're like right with our EMS. They're just about $4,000 a year that they're running, and it seems like the percentages for fire, police, and EMS, when you look at the percentages, they're increasing by 15-20%.
Yes.
Every year.
And part of that issue too now is technology.
Yeah.
So we find a lot of times that people are protecting two places at once because your house has Nest cameras, Ring cameras, all those cameras that alert you somebody's near my house.
Yeah.
So now even when people aren't home, some of the package delivery people now are just regular people in a car.
Yeah.
So we respond all the time to people that think there's a suspicious person at their house, a burglary, somebody on their porch trying to get in, and it's really one of those undercover package delivery people that are just dropping packages off, and the people don't realize it.
Yeah.
That's happening. So we're kind of doing double duty. Automation is killing us because you guys too. Every time somebody drops an iPhone, you gotta run.
Yes.
And there's some of that that's really increasing. The other thing is the type of calls that we can't put in the paper. Now, we got a little derailed because the news media was not putting in press releases as many as we were doing because they were selective as to some of the things they put in.
Yes.
It takes me an enormous amount of time to get those ready. And over the years, the past few years, I didn't have time to do it. And that kind of faded off to people believing that we weren't busy. But on the flip side of the arrests and everything like that is the mental health calls, the crazy calls, the wild goose chases that people send us on sometimes that we can't publicize that are enormously time consuming.
Sure.
And that's what people just don't realize why we need the additional people.
Exactly. And like you said, the wild goose chase. I haven't heard from my grandmother in 4 days. Well, now you may spend the next 8 hours running around trying to backtrack, find her. And say, well, why did you do that? What if you didn't do that?
Yes.
What if you did not? Then, wow, look what happens. Now we have an old lady or gentleman. They may be out wandering around. situation with EMS may be slightly different, but with the police, you are defense.
Yeah.
You are the defense for this township, for every one of these citizens, every one of these citizens that are paying taxes. You have to do that.
Yeah.
There's no saying no. No, maybe later. We're a little busy right now. No, we have to figure out. That's why I don't envy y'all. Y'all have a very difficult job.
And now with even arrests, with everything like that, if you don't go through the steps of doing things to negate stuff, for instance, you can't get fingerprints from a rock. But if you don't do it, if you don't try to do it, it's a defense, because then when the officers get on the stand and the defense attorney asks, did you take fingerprints from that rock? The jury hears, hey, he didn't take fingerprints.
Yeah.
So you try to downplay that you can't get fingerprints off a porous surface.
Yeah.
It's just easier to try and dust it, but that just prolongs everything.
I bet it does.
And not before we get too off track here. So I get hired here in Butler January of '94. January of '94. Back then, they threw you the car keys and said, have a good day, and call us if you need us.
At that time, Billy, how many police officers were there in Butler Township?
So, there, working at the time, there was Charlie Altmiller, Dave Pavelko, Danny O'Donnell. So I would have been the yeah. So I would have been the fourth. Danny's the judge.
Okay.
So then Brian Sabatini and I got hired at the same time. So there was not that many, and we weren't 24 hours. So our shifts were noon to 8, and then 8 at night till 4 in the morning, and then somebody was on call through the morning hours till the next guy came on.
Okay.
So my first night, I brought visuals here because I know everybody likes visuals.
Yes, we do.
So this is from. You can show the camera there, but here's my first night. So I was on a high-speed pursuit at the end of my shift.
Wow.
It started on 309.
Yes.
It started on 309. I was coming back. I assisted the state police on the interstate with a bad call.
Yes.
Okay.
And like an old F-150. So as I'm coming back, we used to have they called them the Mickey Mouse lights, so that it was the brake lights tied into the light bar.
Yes, yes.
So I see this guy coming up behind me real fast, coming up to Beach Mountain. I'm like, I was following a car, and it was like close to 4 in the morning. And I'm like, well, I want this guy to see that I'm the police. So I hit the brakes a couple times because everybody would just slow down. Well, the next thing you know, in that no passing zone, out he goes around me, and the chase is on.
Wow.
We go all the way down. So where Dano's is now used to be Denke's.
Yes.
He slammed the brakes on. He had studded tires. I still remember the sparks coming off the studded tires because he wanted me to rear end him. I ended up going out around him. But when he accelerated into the side of the car, and he hit the side of the car. So I had no plate at this time. We went down Old Turnpike, and turned in front of, onto Foothills. Now, I didn't even know where the Job Corps was. I had no idea what road I was on, but I'm like, all right, the chase is on. We went up East Foothills, where I knew because I was, from the Freeland area. He tried to get on Walnut Street. I kind of corralled him, and then when we went down past the Fear Knots, he lost control because we had a really snowy season that year. And when I hit the brakes, there was just no stopping. Well, he bailed out the passenger side and started running down. We had to climb through the snow. The Freeland officer was working, and it was a big foot chase, but we ended up getting him. And as we're chasing him, I knew him.
Oh.
So he had been friends with
Wow.
my dad. I believe he was a Vietnam vet, and he used to come to my house because he used to shoot groundhog. I have a huge field about 250 yards, and he would shoot them with one shot. So now I know this guy.
Yes.
So I called Charlie Altmiller out, who was the chief at the time, and he came up, and the supervisors called the next day, and hey, are you okay? And don't worry about the car, we'll get it fixed. And that's not kind of at that time what you were used to. It was definitely a different flavor. So that's how my first night went. So I'm like, well, if they bring me back for another night, I don't think I can do that again. But and it was interesting. So from '94 to
Now, I got to ask one question.
Sure, go ahead.
First night, you have chase, foot patrol, you get him. All right, tell me that day you got bit by the bug. You had.
Oh, I couldn't wait to come back the next
100%.
night.
I figure I know. We're all the same.
And
Everybody
it
that
has
does
not.
this.
It has not faded.
Mm-hmm.
It's not faded, and I think that's how you know when you're in the right
100%.
line of work.
But I could say, professionally doing this for a career for 32 years, that I still love waking up and going to work. I like being able to pick and choose my schedule. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love waking up, going. It's fun.
It is.
You just said it. You know when you're in the right position.
And you know, you've seen me at calls.
Yes.
You know, the unmarked car that I designed as kind of a makeshift command post. It has some command things in the back, carries a can. There's a pressurized water extinguisher in the trunk. I do everything I can to beat you guys there to pull that can. I think I'm at 2 or 3 now. Now it kind of slowed down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but
we're getting a little older.
We had
That's
a
okay.
couple. We had a kitchen fire in Beach Mountain. We had another that lightning strike. We hit that with the can, knocked it down, and we're really blessed in Butler, and we're all blessed because like half of my guys are fire guys.
Yes, they are.
So we're cross trained. We know what to expect.
And EMTs you have.
We have Nikam.
Yeah,
Nikam,
Rich's.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and we have Kashak. I mean,
Yeah, and
Kashak.
Kyle, look, Kyle's gold. He knows.
is.
He's great.
Yeah.
We're fortunate. My experiences, PSP, the Hazelton Police, working with New Orleans, Baton Rouge, they're all super. LSP, Louisiana State Police, they're phenomenal to work with. But we have such a great working relationship here. Okay? We have one of your guys pop in. They always pop in and talk, hey, you guys good? Do you need anything?
Mm-hmm.
Just our relationship, I think, with Butler PD and Valley Regional Fire, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's great knowing that.
The softball team, like when we do the softball games, like even it's fun and competitive.
Yes.
Well, competitive for them. I mean, Louis gets, these guys look like the New York Yankees. There we are with a beer in hand, like, yeah, we're gonna lose.
We're not gonna say they recruit. We're just gonna say.
No, I mean, we practice together, and that's kind of how, like, I didn't know who. I don't know if we're allowed to say all their names, but some of the guys, I didn't know who they were, and it was kind of fun to get to know.
Yeah.
Who they were, not who they are when you're at work.
Yeah.
Right? Because it kind of helps you work with them
Yes.
differently. You can separate the two. 'Cause
100%.
it's
Right.
a different atmosphere when you're at work.
100%. But it's also nice to know if something's happening, and we say, "Hey, we need police. We need them now."
Oh, they don't waste any time. You guys
exactly.
are there.
Yeah.
They waste no
Yeah.
time.
And likewise, we all. I mean, I'm tied up more than I'm not, but we all make it, and they especially make it a point to get there if it's not anything to cancel you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Because there's no sense in running your guys down to run. There's nothing worse than getting in a fire truck, pulling on the apron, and then not going, and just having to back it back in.
Yeah.
We
But-
all know that feeling.
Look, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We do.
No, I would. I mean, I appreciate it, and even even covering when we can, or hey, listen, we need this, we don't need that, So with Foster then through the ranks, so then I'm an assistant chief there,
Mhm.
and Kyle has a lot of experience, and the other guys have some firefighting experience, and I know I can't go in, but that doesn't mean I can't hump a line.
Yes.
I can't do something else. I can't be another asset. So
Even on
then-
pin jobs, some of your guys, they'll drag tools for
Oh,
us.
yeah.
Oh,
They're,
hell.
they're good. They're great. I
Yeah.
like working with them.
And there's a benefit to hiring, and for people that have been in the fire service. This is something I had later here, but when you have that mentality of preparedness and be ready and have your equipment and your gear stored like you're going to do it, it's an asset to the department. It's an asset to your other guys. Now, like keeping things clean. Now, I like to keep everything clean. I like to be as organized as I can. And when you go in and your guys are organized, it makes you, as the boss, be more organized.
Yeah.
So there's times I'd be like, I don't know if I'm going to clean the car, but I look and all the cars are clean. And I don't tell them, I don't dwell on it, but it all feeds off each other.
100%. You lead
And,
by example.
Right. And that's it's a good position to be in. The other thing, like the discipline of the training. Police, there's some similarities and differences here, and part of being the fighter mentality is you're going to train and you're going to do it and you're not going to wait for a real call. The advantage of being a police is we have a lot more real calls, but we train less. I'm not saying we don't train at all, but we train much less than meet at the firehouse on Wednesday and let's do this and let's do that. But you can tell who trains and who doesn't. So, like, we have our external tactical vests.
Yes.
So they're heavy, they're kind of bulky. But, I noticed, like, if somebody were to watch me, when we had the wired mics, now I have a remote mic now that's the wireless one, but when you have that, when I show up on a scene and I have to throw that on, the first thing I'm doing is dropping that mic. Because I've trained with this vest, I know what this vest is, and I've had to put it on in a hurry, and I know that when you put the strap over the radio, it keys the radio up. You drop the radio, you throw the vest on. I have a place to put it on there, but that's through training. And if you don't do this stuff all the time, it's perishable. It's a perishable skill, and when you start making every time your first time because you forgot from the last time, that's when you get yourself hurt. You get somebody else hurt. That's when some of those things really fall into place about your training, your discipline, your mentality. That it can happen. So kind of dipping back to my career here. So from right when I got hired, new guy always works night shift. Well, night shift is the best shift you can have.
Yeah.
Because
everything happens at night.
It does. Like there's not much that happens good at night. And there's good guys, bad guys, and the paper guy is the only people at night. So you kind of weed out a lot of people there. So from about 94 to 2015, which is about 21 years, I worked night shift. So there's a lot of people in this township that really like where this guy came from. And effectively, I just came from night shift about 10 years ago. But police involved shootings, homicides, all the good stuff, I was involved in. And there was also a mentality to working with other police departments. Oh, we're Butler. But we developed a relationship then, especially with Hazleton. Got to develop a professional relationship through the drug task force. So we worked together with those guys, but then we also started backing them up a little bit more. And it is much easier going on a call and being on a hot call when there's a lot of chaos, that it's not your call and on your shoulders because you're the only guy that works here in Butler. And when there's a huge incident, you're the guy that's in charge. Because every one of my guys is a leader because they work by themselves. So everybody's a supervisor. We are in a fundamental area where we've had it all. Like our guys have so much experience compared to some other departments. And I had a conversation at one of the events we were at with another department who had young guys that don't have a lot of experience, that are kind of new. And I said, we're not bullies, but I have a private, kind of like a sizzle video with some highlights and things like that. I said, here, watch this before you make any judgments here. I'm like, this is all stuff we've been involved in. I said, so when we come to a call and it seems like we're kind of boss hogging it and being bullies, we're not doing it because we have egos, because we have anything. We just don't want to see anybody get hurt, and we want to resolve it properly. And that's why we do it. And they completely understood from that aspect. There was a case a few years ago in Foster that we went to I actually heard them get called to a dementia patient that walked away from the house. And I knew that things weren't going to go well there because there was a delay about 5 hours. It was in an area that I knew this lady didn't walk the roads because somebody would have called that she's off in somewhere. And it was a very, shall we say, nonchalant response on how we were going to find this lady, that basically somebody was going to find her and they were going to call. And I said, listen, I'm not telling you what to do, but here's what we're going to do. And from that, it was Northeast Search and Rescue, helicopter. Hazel came over with their drone. About 2.5 hours later, the lady was found partially submerged, but lived. So that's a win. And I, talked to the guy and said, this is why we did that, because this would have been her last day.
Yeah.
So got to not only work those calls at night, we developed drug cases during the day. So we're doing task force stuff during the day. And there's one thing about police officers that I learned is people that do undercover work like that. It's a whole new dimension of working plainclothes and jumping out on people and identifying yourself and working as a coherent team. So you have like the different flavors of, acting as part of a team and then coming to work and acting by yourself. And it's not one size fits all. It's not, you have to be able to adapt to your environment. And
I went to a concert years ago down in Hershey. I stood there at Township area, and one of our cops down there, same deal, he was doing undercover, and I ran into him at this concert, and I walked away laughing, going, that's not what that guy looks like.
Right.
It was funny, because he was what do you call him? He was the jarhead type, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big guy, shaved head. No, not this concert.
Yeah.
He looked like a stoner.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
So then through those cases, we worked those at the time. The drug task force would run through the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
So we made a lot of contacts. So our boss, we went through a couple, but at one point, the boss in Wilkes-Barre, we got along with very well because I'm wiretap certified. So we've done a bunch of wiretaps. I probably have about 20 wiretaps, but they're all run out of that office. The regional director who was in that office was Frank Noonan. Now, years later, Frank Noonan becomes the commissioner of the state police and was the commissioner during the Freen investigation. And, then Joe Jacob, who's the chief of police, that was the chief in Wright Township, who also did a lot of drug work with us, is the superintendent now of the Pennsylvania Capitol Police.
Oh, okay.
So, you people you work with, branch out, get other jobs, have other connections. A lot of great troopers that we worked with on night shift who are now in administrative and high-level positions. So you get to meet those people. And that gave you a lot of experience. Like, I was never really a tactical type guy, but, all of a sudden you're in a stack and you're doing a drug raid and, you're doing that tactical stuff and you learn how to work together and you learn how things go and you just kind of develop. We did some great cases here in Butler. Not only drug cases, we did an eBay fraud case where they had perpetuated this nationwide scam and had put up a fictitious website. We had like $100,000 from various victims being delivered to a drop address where a guy rented it for a day.
Wow.
We were able to mobilize quick enough, and eBay even recognized this, that big city departments weren't able to mobilize as quick as a few of us did. One of our officers acted as the undercover who delivered the packages to one guy in an empty apartment, and then we hit him with a search warrant immediately after. The case ended up going federally.
Wow.
He was indicted.
How long ago was this?
2006, 2000,
okay.
Somewhere in the mid-2000s. We were one of the first in eastern Pennsylvania to do an internet sting with WBRE, Andy Mahalchik.
That's what you sent me the other night.
Yeah, that's what I sent you the other night. So that still lives now, 20 years later.
That's cool.
As part of that, we
So
arrested
where did
4
you do
people.
that? Where in Butler did you do that?
So the first 2, it's really kind of a comical story. We had no experience. So I never watched Dateline. I'm not a Dateline type of guy, right?
I love that To Catch a Predator.
But when
show.
they started that, I never watched that.
Yeah.
So when Andy came to me and said, let's do a story, I'm like, great, let's do a story. So we had a producer that was young and female, and she had the voice. And I'm like, nobody is coming to Butler to meet up with anybody. So we'll do this. It'll be great. Well, we get down on this computer. Andy and I don't know any of the lingo.
Yeah.
She, thank goodness, did. And all of a sudden, we were in,
Wow.
it was like ICQ or some of the chat rooms, and people were just biting, jumping,
Yeah.
fish in a barrel, and I'm like, whew. I'm like, there might be something to this.
Wow.
Still in denial. The first time we were setting the sting up, it was a guy who was in York, but he was from Arlington, Virginia. He's like, no, I'm coming. So we had an undercover phone line.
Excuse me.
From York.
And from York,
That's,
yes,
That's 2.5 hours.
on a rainy night.
Wow.
So he calls us. Now, cell phones really weren't as big as they are back then, and we had an undercover phone line. So the night before we talked to him, we messaged him back and forth, and he says, I'll call you tomorrow to make sure. So we gave him the undercover phone line. So he calls, he's like, what room number are you in? It's a good question. We didn't get a hotel because we never thought he was coming.
Yeah.
So Tony and Gargiola, who's the chief photographer for WBRE, we had undercover drug funds. Gave him the undercover drug fund, said, go get a hotel. I'm not putting in my name. And he was able to get the Econo Lodge.
Okay.
Wow.
We went in the Econo Lodge. Sure enough, we're there. We're all ready to go. And I mean, that's an adrenaline rush knowing you're about to do this, especially with the bad guys coming to you and you don't have to go seek them. But I was afraid of the whole him taking off on foot. You know, so I just worked it like it was a drug case, kind of like a buy bust. Let's get him out of the car. Let's try and make sure he doesn't run. Let's contain him. Have enough officers. So we're there. We're ready. He's almost there. This car pulls in front and going real slow, looking at the door numbers. Like, this is it. Here he goes. Person gets out of the car, and we are ready to pounce. The pizza guy delivering a pizza to the next door. So now we're scrambling, and we're like, well, we just almost took off the pizza guy. All of a sudden, there's a knock on the door. Well, the bad guy didn't know the room number, so he parked in the middle of the building and walked around on foot.
Wow.
And that's the first guy that we tackled into the room when we pulled him into the room.
That's that one picture that...
Yes,
Yeah,
that they used there.
Yeah.
So we also kind of worked it like a buy bust, where I said, well, if we're doing one, we might as well do two in one night if we have the room. And we scheduled the second guy conveniently about an hour and a half after the first guy. Yeah. So we get the first guy out of there, we regroup, and then the second guy came. So we did two in one night.
Wow.
And then we ended up doing a third a little bit later, about a week or two later. And then 8 months later, because we had to let the dust die down, and it's a lot of paperwork, and prosecution-wise, 8 months later, we log on, and our ICQ pops up, and he's like, hey, remember me? And within 24 hours, he's up here.
That's
and
crazy.
The Sun Valley was closed at that time, but we said it was a valid hotel, so we said, we'll meet you there. He pulled in, and we took him.
Yeah.
Wow. See, now as a dad,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's just crazy to me. My daughter now is 23, going on 24. But I feel for you with the younger children today,
Yeah.
with the internet,
All the
everything
internet,
that's going on. Thank God we have people like y'all.
And nobody questioned it. Nobody
Wow.
questioned that there was a 13-year-old in a hotel room. One person might have kind of skirted around it and said, hey, listen, I work there after school, and they give me rooms. You know, so it was one of those things. So we developed that into a program then, and Andy and I went around all of Eastern Pennsylvania and gave these to PTAs, to kids, to groups, things like that.
That's
That's from
amazing.
here in Butler, and that's just what we
That's
did
amazing.
with, a couple guys, a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, on that topic, there's a guy, I don't want to say his name, or his handle. There's a guy in Pennsylvania, a prominent guy, there's a bunch of knockoffs, that does the To Catch a Predator deal on his phone. Who all happen to meet at a gas station. He's filming them. It's not the guy that runs around smacking them up.
Yeah.
He gives them the opportunity to confess to it, but he's already called. How do you feel about people?
What would your advice or...
There's no room for vigilantism here. You got to leave that to the law enforcement. It's
let
too
professionals
sketchy.
handle it?
There's always entrapment issues. There was even entrapment issues that were brought up with our case.
Really?
No, we had everything solid.
Yeah.
We never brought up anything about sex, never brought anything up about meeting, but we had the chat logs to prove it.
Yeah.
So at that time too, we had a lot more fatal crashes. And I had went to accident reconstruction school, so there was 2 or 3 guys in the department that were accident reconstructionists, and we were doing a lot of homicide by vehicles and homicide by vehicle DUI related. There was a motorcycle charity run by Beach Mountain, a guy that had been addicted to heroin that had some other medication in him, had a child in the back seat, veered across the road and took out this motorcycle rally, killed one, seriously injured about 3 or 4. The subsequent, everybody trying to avoid the accident, people were dumping their bikes.
Oh,
It took us a week to figure out who was on a bike and who they went, because it was
wow.
busier than an airport with the amount of helicopters used to fly people out.
Wow.
And they went everywhere from Geisinger down, all over the place.
Listening to you talk, Billy, one thing that, and for as long as I'm doing this, I never put it together, but I think is very interesting. The calls, especially how you just described that one with the predator type call, from inception to termination. On an ambulance, typical ambulance call, that may be 2 hours. A fire, maybe 6, 7, 8 hours. Hazmat. This may be months and months and months for y'all. I never really thought about that.
So typically in a lot of the drug investigations we did were years.
Wow.
Sometimes one probably went 4 or 5 years, because there's different waves. And especially when you use the grand jury system. So you take your first roundup, maybe you round up 25 or 50 people, and then end up sending them to the grand jury. Then you get another bunch of people.
Wow.
So we were really entrenched in a lot of cases while we worked patrol. Like, this wasn't part of my job.
That's what's
This
just
was
popping in my
extra.
head now. You're still doing
I'm still
your
working
duties,
midnights.
but you have this
and
case that
coming
may be
in.
going on 6, 7, 8, 9, a year, 2 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Never really
I
thought
mean,
about that.
we did raids that you rounded up 40, 50 people in a morning, processing them out,
Wow.
search warrants, and then when you get into wiretaps, things like that, there's a whole lot of other things that go on.
So when we joke about massaging our taxes, we're not going to worry about wiretaps for that.
Oh, now wiretaps are worse than ever, because you never know.
That's
But
Me and my 21 dependents want to know, are we good this year?
to kind of make it even funnier, that when I went to wiretap school, we learned how to work on landlines.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
We did landlines, the
with
tip and tap, and
yeah. Tip
hook
and
up
ring
to
and all,
this,
yeah.
and it was a very dry class. It was a very long class,
Wow.
but it gave you the ability then. And what's even funnier than that is some of the recorders. They call it like a Niagara recorder. So it was actually a box about this big, and it was a reel-to-reel that we would use for body wires.
Wow.
So we actually used them, and I was down the last time I was at the Smithsonian. They're in there, and I'm like,
Well,
That's
they have a
crazy.
spy museum down there, too.
the Spy Museum. It was
Yeah.
in the Spy
Yeah,
Museum.
Spy.
So
Yeah.
when you guys would do a wiretap, would you go to, like, the phone rig? Is that where you would tap?
No, the phone got.
Like, if you did the copper wiring, would you do the phone did, like, out, like, for the main, or would you
There was more advanced technical people for that.
Okay.
That on the phone was if you were going to do a consensual call, so you were going to be an informant,
Oh, I got
that I could hook the recorder right into
Okay.
I got
right
you.
into the line.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah,
Because there's a TikTok page that's strictly wiretaps.
yeah.
It's all old school, like the Rico Act stuff with the Mafia in New York, and some of them are pretty interesting to listen to. Like, people talk about the John Gotti being the Teflon Don and all that
Yes.
stuff, and what a great guy he was. But no, if you listen to these wiretaps, he was a horrible
My man.
monster.
Yeah.
He was not a good guy.
So we worked a relative of the Gambinos.
Yeah.
And you actually live with these people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're sitting in a room, and we're sitting in a room like this, but every phone call, think of all the conversations you have.
Yeah.
And you're living it. And now you're having to do voice identification because you're not exactly sure, because at that time there was always a delay in getting the telephone numbers back and who the subscriber was.
Yeah.
And even when you had the subscriber, you didn't know. But we had a lot of good times, because you're hearing drug deals and you're hearing that, but
Wow.
you're also doing all the other stuff that people do normally.
Yeah.
And then also, a a lot of those times you're scrambling surveillance teams.
Okay.
So like there was one in the in the Poconos, and we weren't that familiar with the Poconos, but it was always interesting.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't we'll take 5-minute break?
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. We have lots to talk about with Billy. Remember 116 of frequency. Like, subscribe, share. Help us out here. Just click the button, like us, subscribe, share. 116 of frequency. We will be right back. Welcome back, 116 of frequency. Kenny and Jack, and we are lucky once again to still have Police Chief William Feissner with us.
All right, Bill. So where did we leave off? What were we talking about?
Well, one of the things I want to say is that I actually had the good experience of being able to ride a tailboard.
Yeah.
It was only a few times. It was on an old engine. It was with the bar to go in your back. But it was fun to, hear about people that talk about that and haven't actually experienced it. And it was a ride and a half. Like you were holding on for dear life because you're like, I could fall off of this very easily. So the other great experience I had, too, was Firefighter 1 and Fire 2. My dad was my partner.
Oh,
That's cool.
fantastic.
So it
That's
was great.
That's cool.
And now, looking back, I know why he was so winded and he couldn't do some things. 'Cause now I'm where he was at that point. So it was really neat to be able to fight fire with your dad
Oh, that's
and
great.
challenge each other, because we used to bust each other because our houses are very close to each other. So I'd be like, I made it out first. Sometimes he would beat me out, going to these middle of the night calls and things like that.
Wow. Going back to your Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, did you go to Concrete City?
No,
Okay.
no, we were lucky to have Paul Lesser.
Okay.
So we did it over in Harwood.
Okay, you went
So
to
we
Harwood.
did it there, yeah.
Right in Harwood.
Right by the PP&L substation there.
Oh.
Holly's Fire School was there.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's
Is
what
that where all
amazed
of
me.
his pictures are from?
A good bit of them.
I thought he was like somewhere else. I didn't
No.
realize that.
No, they had a
Holly.
burn
Oh, okay.
building, and they had a lot of things
extinguisher
over there.
pit,
Yeah.
burn building. He had props. And Billy could attest to this. Not just a little sidebar on Polly. I'll sing his praises. Polly, look, he is an untapped resource that
Oh, yeah.
we have available to us.
He
I
was
always
an
call
knowledge.
he's on my Mount Rushmore. Okay, he's so knowledgeable. And look, I took many of his classes back then. His demeanor, the way he taught, the way he explained things to
Yeah.
you, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. He's the wealth of knowledge.
100%.
So then I wanted to really bring up, and it kind of ties into your conversation on your last podcast about, being out in the interstate and being at these crashes and, being really exposing yourself to this. And this is something that came up that I really didn't think about as much prior to being a police chief, but it's something we deal with all the time. And being out, anytime a guy's out, you're exposing yourself to liability. Vehicle liability, personal liability, all sorts of things. Now, we have a lot of firefighting experience here. And it's kind of cliche, but how many times did you ever go to a call and get attacked by a tagger? And say there's probably any. And I didn't ask alligator. I asked tagger for a reason. And one of the things, there's a really great guy. I encourage you to look him up on the internet, see some of his YouTube. It's Gordon Graham
Oh, yes.
from Lexipol.
Yeah. Gordon Graham came to St. George. Actually, we had him there multiple times. So,
Yes.
it's fantastic.
And-
His risk management, phenomenal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
Lexipol.
that's what I want to talk about. Was
Yes.
risk management. He was actually maybe the co-developer of
Yes.
Firefighter Close Calls.
Okay.
So he was a CHP officer back probably in the
In the
70s,
chips.
and he's very dynamic when he speaks. And it's this risk management of not exposing yourself to stuff you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'm real big on it, and I'm real big on our fire departments trying to get into this concept of risk management, because if you don't expose yourself to that liability
Yes.
and you don't expose yourself to that danger, you're not going to get hurt doing it.
Correct.
Especially at my time now. So I was eligible to retire in 2021, but I love the job and I love what I'm doing, so I
Yes,
didn't. That being said, on a volunteer fire position, I don't want to get hurt doing something stupid.
Yeah.
No, not of my own stupid thing. And I look at it like this, that we are part of our own, in the fire service, part of our own problem, because we kind of talk ourselves and believe some of the rhetoric we give, and not to minimize it, but like seconds count. And, we have to be there at the very minute. And I look at some of these things that, as a volunteer fire department, or mostly a volunteer, so you need those funds. You need that volunteer people to give to the volunteers, because that's your operating budget. On the downside of that, you try to make the public happy. We're a needed vital resource here, and we're going to come out and we're going to fix this and we're going to fix that. We live in a 911 environment that we are the clearinghouse.
Yes.
If the fire can't fix it and the police can't fix it, well, then the ambulance is going to go to it, because one of us is getting dispatched for something. And my thoughts, and this is, when I say it makes sense. Sometimes it's a little controversial, because I know everybody wants to support their community and things like that. But if you keep doing stuff for free, it's never going to get fixed.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't go out and plow snow. We don't fix potholes. Should we really be cutting trees?
Yeah.
If one of those trees falls and hits you on the head and knocks you out, or breaks your back, or kills you, that's a road department issue.
And they're unionized too, so that's another
They are.
angle we.
And I one of my things as being chief, so I look at all the 911 calls, because we have access to that. So, on Interstate 80 by Tank, there was a whole lot of calls there for about 8 months of trees down, trees near the road. Well, there was a tree on that went down that was hit by a car. And you know what happened? Well, now they have a tree crew in there, and they cleared all those dead trees out.
Yeah.
Because in between the fire company getting dispatched and them getting there, somebody hit a tree. And that's what it took to correct 8 months or a year of all these trees being done.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth your people getting hurt. And it's not easy to kind of sell.
Yeah.
I'm huge on welfare checks, that my guys get grilled all the time for welfare checks. Because if you remember back a few years ago, I think it was in Fairfax, there was a mental health call. They broke into the house because nobody answered the door, so we're going to break in, make sure this guy's okay. He shot a firefighter and killed him.
Yeah.
And because of the Castle Doctrine, they had one very similar to ours, he was never charged.
Yes.
We don't break into houses if we have a legitimate reason, and we can articulate why we're doing it. But if Mary hits her medical alarm, and that's the only thing we have, EMS knows my guys aren't going in.
Yes.
But you're reducing your liability. You're constitutionally, see, firefighters don't deal with the Constitution like we do, and it's only gotten worse recently. But, you're constitutionally breaking into somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a reason. You better be able to explain that. And too many people just, somebody on the phone that's in Maryland wants me to break into this house to make sure they're okay. Well, I'm going to do it because I want to make them happy, or this is what we've always done. And you have to critically think each call and each decision. And a lot of times, on the accident side, that you put a piece of apparatus there in an ambulance and you're creating more of a hazard than if you just didn't go, or you just said, hey, listen, police are on their way, let's get out of here. Because sometimes you don't know. And that is really why fire departments need to look into this risk management. And I don't know from the full-time experience that you've had, or even down in Hershey, what they look at that as. But I don't believe that we should put $1 million piece of fire apparatus as a bumper so
No.
we don't get run over.
Yeah.
Should we maybe have a traffic truck with an attenuator on the back that if somebody's going to hit, they take out a $10,000 attenuator?
Bill, I don't know how much you still keep up on the fire side of things,
Mm-hmm.
but that is one of the pushes in the fire service right now is they're taking old apparatus that are just about to be put out of service and they're making blockers out of them.
Right.
So we saved $1 million. We just bought a new rescue engine here, and what was it, $1 million, close to $1 million?
Yeah.
But take the old one, put the, like I said, the attenuator on it, and let that take the shot.
You know what?
They're doing that all across the South. Excuse me, I know the West Coast. That's one of the big pushes right now.
Yeah.
But our state, though, if you think about it, even the lighting package on the back of apparatus, you don't know what the hell it is as you're approaching it. Like we just had the vehicle rescue class, and they're right. When I dove into it and was watching videos, you put one little blue light in the back of that bar, man, it sticks right out. What we run right now, you don't know
Sure.
what is it in this
No.
lane? Is it in this lane?
Louisiana, for fire apparatus, and there was always, the police down there ran either red and blue or solid blue. Fire was always red and white. EMS was red and white. Tow trucks, utility were yellow. They changed in the last, I'm going to say maybe 5, 6, maybe a tick more. Now, the fire has a blue light in the rear just to throw it off. The construction vehicles have yellow and green.
I think plow trucks have that now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to throw it off. And
Tow
what it
drivers,
does,
tow drivers can run a blue in the back. Is that
I
correct?
think so, yeah.
There's that
Now-
Beluga, I think, in Hazleton, you see with the blue light going all the time.
Now you'll see you've seen our cars now. So 4 years ago when I became chief, that was one of the things, Wayland Core, and it's dynamic intensity. So when the car's in park, it slows that light bar down.
Yeah.
At night, it automatically dims it. It will automatically kill the white to the front.
wow.
It does a lot of great things. And if you've ever noticed our cars, they will simultaneously flash. They're in sync.
I did
And
notice
now
that.
the state
Yes.
police are going to that system too on the federal side. So federal came back and I guess got their bid. So last week they announced that that's going to be something that they're doing too.
Right.
And it's all to reduce the intensity of going around these crash scenes. And I've seen it. I mean, we started out with just regular halogen bulbs, and then we went to other things. And
With the strobes, now
And
LEDs.
from working nights most of my time, I know that these lights are just blinding. And the
Oh.
older you get, the worse they are.
Yeah. Get that
And-
astigmatism, you get that weird aura.
Yeah. And, we've had 3 officers hit here in our department on roadside emergencies. And I thought the first thing when this was available, it is something that really we need here because of how dangerous those lights can be. Sometimes we think, the more lights we put on, the more we flash it. You disorient people.
It is. It's hard to
It's
see.
very disorienting.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see a lot of trucks being able to do this low intensity, to slow it down, to be all synced up. Like even our arrow sticks. Now, I don't put a lot of faith in arrow sticks because people don't know what to do. But when they're synced up and they're in sync, and if you just reduce or have no red and blues, that it looks like a regular construction arrow, you have a little bit more success with it.
Yeah.
But, getting those big rigs off the road, taking that, reducing that risk management is key and something the fire service has to get wrapped their head around.
Risk management
Yeah.
is, when you say it's another level that we need to get involved with. Like I said, I was very fortunate. I had a chief that decided, hey, we're bringing Gordon Graham in. And he came to our place. He was there 3 days. He talked to all the shifts. And just watching him, he'll start with a clear whiteboard. And he goes to town. But when you look at his policies, when you look at his procedures, and that's what it's all coming back to. Let's put in some solid policies and procedures, get everybody in a positive working habit to minimize this risk.
Yeah.
When you minimize this risk, it's working out for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a benefit to everyone.
Yeah.
Gordon Graham's phenomenal.
He is. And I really was exposed to him more as a chief, but I really wish that on the fire side that people would embrace this concept because it's not popular and it's a struggle. Well, if we have more calls, we get more people, we have more activity.
Yeah.
But every time you put a truck on the road, you could hurt people, people could hurt you, and especially with the amount of interstate here and people not paying attention and big loaded tractor trailers. And we've all had close calls that we basically don't even think they're close calls anymore because it's normal.
Right.
I said it in one of our first podcasts. I was hit by a car. I almost died.
wow.
It was terrifying. And to this day, it doesn't matter what the call is. My head's on a swivel because I was fortunate I only got grazed and drugged. This time, I'm older now. I'm not jumping as fast as I did the last time. So,
Right.
I mean, I was my kid's age when that happened. So, but I mean, the
And I
interstate's
was with our guys twice when they got hit.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
And it's
terrifying.
not good. I mean, the one he what saved him was he was a lefty. And when he was walking up on a traffic stop, the guy came by and clipped him, but it kind of hit his holster first. The pinch pad went flying, and he was okay. And then I went and got the guy down, but it was a very elderly gentleman out at 12 o'clock at night from the casino with his girlfriend and just couldn't see.
Wow. It's crazy. We are going to take one more break. Remember 116 the frequency? Chief Feissner with Kenny and Jack. Once again, do us a favor. Like, subscribe, share. Help us out. Just hit that like button. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hey, welcome back. 116 the frequency. We're back again with Billy. Billy, been a great podcast. We've enjoyed talking with you. We are definitely going to have a part 2.
Yes.
We have to because we haven't even cracked the surface yet.
We have not, no.
We have to have a part 2.
All right.
We already took a date. We're going to come back. We're going to sit down because we have so much more to talk about.
We do. I'm going to give everybody an assignment.
Okay.
And it's an assignment for everybody here, especially the fire service. You know, communication is like key and part of leadership, and everybody's a leader, and communication's of the utmost importance. There's a really good podcast out there after you watch ours called Tactical Tangents.
Okay.
Episode 12, which was actually a few years ago, is entitled Push to Talk, Not to Think. And they have a lot of clips from firefighters and some Maydays, and they talk about things that people should be thinking about when they're on the radio. And it's really good, and it's a refresher. Every officer that goes through field training or that I see that's new needs to do it because you need to have radio discipline, and they explain why, and they do a really good job at it. And they have other ones, so it's primarily military and police, but it applies to firefighters. All their podcasts do. They're really a good group of guys. It's a military guy and a police officer, but they have some medical training too. So it's Tactical Tangents.
Tactical Tangents, you said episode 12?
Episode 12.
We'll see if we can get a link and we'll put it in the comments.
Yeah.
That way, anybody who's listening, just go into the comments, click,
You click on it,
and it'll take you right to it.
Yeah.
Tactical Tangents, episode 12. We will see if we can do that. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Fantastic.
All right, Chief, thanks for coming in tonight. Look
Thanks
forward
for
to
having
seeing
me.
you a couple weeks here.
That's
2 weeks.
a couple weeks at the big one.
Very good.
Yeah.
Billy, great seeing you. Look,
Good
30
seeing you
years
guys.
ago, a long time. I remember, and it's so nice seeing you again. You still have the same vigor. Oh, did you make that call? We're going to go back 2 years now, real quick, before we sign off. Just to talk about everybody working together. Those 2 little girls in Freeland that got hit. Okay, do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had talked about, I think, the first episode. Okay. Went up there with 26, the ambulance medic unit. Got there. I was under the car working on it. It just proved how seamless. I remember Jerry was there.
Jerry
one of
was
your
there,
officers,
yeah.
great officer. Everything I needed, somebody was handing to me. And all I did was say, bam. And look, it was a police officer. It was a Freeland firefighter, Foster firefighter, EMS. Just, I thought you were there. And I remember, and it was just like, this is just how it was 30 years ago. And look, those girls got wonderful care. Everybody worked together. It was seamless. Fantastic
And
working with you again.
We need that more.
Yes, we do.
It's not a competition. It's all for the same thing. And
Exactly. We
There's
all
a lot
have
of
the same
egos,
goal.
and as it comes back to even being a young firefighter. So, in 1987, we were at the block in Whitehaven,
Oh,
and when you're young, and I think I was just maybe a junior coming out of a junior, when you lose a block, everything else is like, oh, we lost a house, but it wasn't the block, and we were there for the block. And,
yes.
you know, I guess those big calls early on in your career, when you're exposed to that, shows that everybody got to work together, and there's no. It's okay to have a rivalry,
Yeah.
but not
Exactly.
button heads.
Exactly. You could have a rivalry. I want my guys. I always said, I want my guys, my girl. I want everybody. Yeah, we're the best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But we're not going out to fight. I want that mentality that, hey, look, we can have a rivalry with you, but you're our brother, you're our sister. We're going to work together.
Right.
We're going to solve the problem. We're going to work best for everybody.
Yeah, and that's police and fire. That's the way.
100%.
That's the way I run it. Like, help people out and do what's right.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, all the years that I've worked down in the Hershey-Harrisburg area, I can say that Butler PD is like the best police department I've worked with.
Oh, that's
They're,
great
they're
to hear.
great guys to work with.
Look.
They're fun to play softball with.
You're right.
We have that fun rivalry as you talked about, but it's that. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's for fun.
And we are
right?
lucky to have what we have, and we're
Right.
able to recruit those guys.
You got a good group of guys
Yes,
there.
you do.
We do.
You really do.
We do.
That's great. Well, the next podcast, we want you singing the praises of all your guys. We're going to talk. 'Cause we have so much
Yep.
more to talk about, and that's going to be part 2.
Sounds good.
Very good.
All right. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
We will see you in a few weeks. Thanks again for signing in.
Thanks again. Remember, we always say it, like, subscribe, share. Look, winter's coming to an end. We've had a hard winter. Everybody be careful. Everybody use a little patience out there, okay? Remember, PFP, all right? PFP, that's the word of the week. Everybody take care. Have a good night.